This was a woman who was in her early 90s, but yet still very, very vibrant. She suffered a form of nerve damage that came after having a bout of shingles. And shingles, as you may or may not know, it comes secondary to a virus that you've had earlier in your life, and it's harbored in your body. And when you are in perhaps an overly stressful situation, it will manifest itself. It is waiting for your immune system to be somewhat depressed, whether you are sick or stressed, or you've suffered some loss in your life, or you're just aging and it starts to come out. It is exceedingly painful. It is a form of neuropathy, slightly different than others because it often forms in the torso or middle area of your body, in and around your rib cage. It'll often come around the back and go up one of your shoulder blades, and that's where it affected this patient. Even though she was in her early 90s, she couldn't leave the house, not because of her age, because of the unbelievable amounts of pain that she suffered whenever she put her back on any surface, including the seat of a car. She was no longer driving. She was no longer living with any quality of life. And she had been through the normal insurance-covered, drug-laden prescriptions that she was given with zero help. This damage came from this source, this shingles, and she was still vibrant here, but physically she was unable to function at all. She was brought to the office by her daughter. It took them close to an hour to physically get her here, and they lived only 10 or 15 miles away because of the amount of time it took to get her comfortable in a seat with pillows behind her and certain angles that she would turn to. And she would come to the office literally in tears because of the pain that she suffered. She qualified for treatment. Her daughter was extremely, very, very happy at the prospect of her mother getting any relief. I can proudly tell you that that woman in her middle 90s, early to mid 90s, was the very first request that I can remember for a hug after the end of her treatment, because at that point, although she wasn't driving because of her age, she was a willing and frequent passenger in a car. She came to her visits toward the end, pain-free. She went on vacations. Charlotte happens to sit almost midway between the coast and the mountains, and she thought nothing of going to either of those or both of those places, where before she treated here, she never left the house and sat pitched forward so that nothing would touch her back. So with tears in her eyes, but good tears, I more than willingly gave her that hug and told her how just proud I am of the accomplishments that she's achieved. We're just a conduit for it. I don't take credit for it. The body does the work. We provide the treatment. And the level of trust that she and her daughter instilled in us was just above anything I could have asked for and expected. And I am vigilant in telling each and every patient who comes here that I am deeply appreciative for the trust that they instill in us. And if for some reason we cannot help them, I'm going to tell them, because I don't want their expectations to be unrealistic. And I don't want to take on a patient who is ultimately going to be unhappy or dissatisfied, but their expectations have to be realistic. We take into account their age, their level of damage, and their lifestyle. And perhaps if we know what caused their neuropathy, what exactly that may have been. As long as they realize that nerves are some of the slowest healing components of the human body, but they can heal. They are living tissue as long as they haven't exceeded a point of no return. And if they have, we tell them that. And then unfortunately, they're not eligible for anything really curative, and more, they just have to take medicine to try to get to sleep or to try to get through their day through prescriptions that they are at some point sick of, because they realize that it's not helping them actually heal. We're here, although not necessarily a cure, it is absolutely reducing their damage and subsequently reducing their symptoms, because the nerves are actually healing, as opposed to a mask or a cover-up or a Band-Aid. And that's not what I want to be. I don't want to be a Band-Aid. I'd like to really improve your health because things are getting better.